The Pentagon will deploy 5,200 active duty troops to Mexico border as Trump escalates threats against migrant caravan. The Defense Department says it will deploy 5,200 active duty troops to the southern border by the end of the week. This comes as President Trump escalates his threats against the dwindling migrant caravan making its way north from Central America. The president has claimed that the group of migrants contains gang members and some very bad people, similar to a previous claim he made, and as the article points out, he made that claim without evidence. A week out from the midterm elections, the Pentagon said Monday it is sending 5,200 troops, some armed, to the southwest border. President Trump, eager to focus voters on immigration in the lead-up to the elections, stepped up his warnings about the caravans. This is an invasion of our country, and our military is waiting for you. These are our tax dollars at work. Oh, and by the way, Democrats and Republicans alike continue to give this guy more defense money than he even asked for. They continue to inflate the military budget. And this is what it goes towards. And this is propaganda. We have a net zero immigration right now from the Mexican border. So all the they're coming for our jobs and it's all a bunch of racist nonsense. It's all a bunch of racist nonsense. But this is what they want you to focus on when you go into the voting booth. And then when I say they, I say the GOP. Because this is all they got. They gotta try to capitalize on people's fear of those who are different, because they're running out of scapegoats. They're running out of scapegoats because they can't just blame Obama's right-wing policies anymore, because now they're doing their own types of policies. And a lot of those policies are so unpopular they can't even get them through. You know, the Affordable Care Act was not very popular because it was Mitt Romney's plan and because it allowed the insurance industries at the table. But the right had their scapegoat. They had Obama as the scapegoat. Even though it was Mitt Romney's plan, they had Obama as their scapegoat. Well, now their healthcare plan is so repulsive because it's even worse than the Affordable Care Act. It's even worse than Mitt Romney's plan. So now, like, what do they got? They got to move on to something else. They got to move on to immigration now. So that's where we're at. I don't know when the right's going to run out of scapegoats, you know? I mean, it seems like only yesterday it was the gays, now it's the Mexicans, and who's it, you know? They're going to move on to something else. And then, of course, we still have the terrorists. You know, some of them are simultaneous. But that's what you have. You have two parties that try to capitalize on your fear. One tries to capitalize on your fear of people from other places and immigrants and people who are different than your regular white bread American, quote unquote. And then you have another party that tries to capitalize on people's fear of that hateful party. I mean, so you have two parties that are just trying to capitalize on people's fear, and who loses at the end of the day? The people. We the people. It's a weird system that we, and weird is putting it very gently. But yeah, 5,200 troops to the Mexican border for no reason. Absolutely no reason. To the border, where what are they already doing at the border? Let's get a refreshing course on what they're already refreshing. There's nothing refreshing about it, actually. But a refresher course on what they're already doing. What they're already doing, they have ICE agents going around kicking over water that was left out and arresting activists that are just trying to help other human beings coming across the border. And yes, I know it's not legal what they're doing, but they're human beings. You're setting out water for them. Kicking over the water. We have a drought, by the way. And there's cities in this country that don't have access to clean water. And we spend our defense budget, which is basically all of our budget. It's the reason why Flint doesn't have clean water. We spend our budget hiring people to kick over water. That makes sense. That makes sense. Oh, and if you want to protect your water, we'll pummel you with freezing cold water. That's what we do with water. Ask anyone that was at DAPL. That's what we do with water. 52, no reason. There's no reason for this. It is such a waste of money and resources, and it's morally disgusting. Which is by the most important bullet point. It's morally disgusting. It's inhumane. But also, it's a complete way, and this is why we don't have universal health care. This is why we don't have tuition-free college. This is why we don't have, it's, you know, when I was in Scotland, and I'm going to post this photo on my Instagram, I went to the, I went to Parliament. You know, you can tour Parliament in Edinburgh and Scotland, excuse me, and I went to it, and it was very interesting. And I took a picture of, and you were allowed, there was photography allowed in this area. I took a picture of how they talk about priorities in their budget. And you saw the arts, and you saw healthcare, and you saw education, and you saw infrastructure. And you saw social safety nets, other types of social safety nets, housing. You saw it all there, and you saw kind of equal slivers for a lot of that stuff. And some of the stuff that was more important, like healthcare, you know, had a little bit more than, say, the arts. Not that the arts aren't incredibly important. Of course they are. You know, me especially, I should feel that way. But, you know, it's even more important that we make sure people can go to a doctor, right? So, and I thought, man, if the U.S. made a circle like that, it would just be military, everything else. Military, everything else. That's what ours would look like. And I took a picture, and I'm like, yeah, when you don't have an economy based on war, this is what your budget can look like. This is what it can look like. I'm not going to sit here and say Scotland doesn't have their problems. Of course they do. Every country does. But, man, when it comes to allocation of resources, we are really screwing up here in the U.S. And other countries, they're not screwing up to our degree. Some are, but a lot aren't. A lot aren't. And there's no reason why we shouldn't be doing better. What a waste. What a waste to do that.
Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You can tweet me an article at Ron Placone. We'll go through it together and make it our own. Get your